Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm Andy. Welcome into Tactile Audio. Today we are doing MIDI controllers and setups. So if you have just got a brand new controller for the first time setting up, this is a place for you. Or if you're doing totally advanced stuff with multi-instruments and a bunch of MIDI devices, this is also the place for you, right? Just check the chapters and skip to what you need. But I just had to go through all of this like this week, setting up all of my synths and stuff re-racked and getting everything routed properly and set up in both DAWs. I use Ableton, and we're using Ableton here today for this, and Logic too. I use a lot of Logic. I use Logic a lot of times. So and it does a bunch of stuff differently. So like definitely, I'm gonna link a video at the end of this to a bunch of stuff like that I do with the Logic in the sense. So definitely check that out. But so let's go ahead. Let's talk about like what's a MIDI device, you know, a MIDI controller. So some examples of a MIDI controller. This is a MIDI controller right here. There's a Keylab from Arturia, Keylab 61. And it has keys. It's a full featured MIDI controller. Some controllers just might have keys. Some just might have pads. I got one over here. Some might just have knobs or faders. This one has pads, it has knobs and faders, it has extra controls, it has transport controls. It has, you know, it's fully featured. It has like kind of everything you would want in one controller. So that's a type of controller. If we jump to this other view, and we can just bounce around the room, there's 5 different MIDI controllers set up ready to go. Over my shoulder here, you see this is the Step Pro from Arturia, which is like a step sequencer for like drum machines, software drum machines. And it's kind of like a software in between, or you know, for emulation of this 707 right here, which is a hardware drum machine. So we have that Step Pro, then we have the Keylab over here. Next on down, we have the Akai LPD8, which has 8 buttons, you know, which light up, which is nice to tell you if they're on or off. I use this to control like everything. It has 8 knobs too. And so for like my live stuff, like live online streaming sets and stuff, I'll use, you know, these buttons to turn on and off my mic, my guitar, my reverb levels here, you know, like all the things that you need to have readily available. That's what MIDI controllers are for. If we keep going, here's an Ableton push over here, right off my right hand always is the push, because it's an extremely useful MIDI controller. And we have on the floor, still we have the Nectar Pacer down there, so which is again extremely useful. And that's the point with all of these things, is to be extremely useful to me as I sit here. And that's why we have MIDI controllers. And the first thing that's probably useful to you is, hey, I got a keyboard, I want to plug it in, or a drum thing, or like whatever, I want to hear some stuff. And there's nothing worse than like plugging it in and nothing happening, and you're like beating your head over like, wow. Well, we're gonna solve all that for you right here. So let's go have a look over here in Ableton. So I should say first, before we dive in, you probably have like a MIDI controller that just connects with a USB cable right to your computer. That's what most things are like nowadays. So you don't need like a MIDI interface. Like I use a big MIDI interface. It looks like this, and it has 8 in and outs for MIDI devices. This is another similar. This is an iConnect. That's a Mo2 MIDI timepiece, the big one, but an iConnect with 4x4. So it's just MIDI ports is all it is. Connects via USB, but most controllers are just gonna simply plug in like this one does. And so you plug it in, then what do? Well, if you're using Ableton, we're gonna assume for this you're using Ableton. And in Ableton, if you look in the very top right corner, right to the right even of where the little percentage for your CPU is kind of showing a percent, we have this little double dot thing, which is cool. And it shows you when you're pressing your MIDI keys. I don't know if my camera is quite high enough. I'll zoom here. And you can see these dots, see those dots flashing? Pressing keys. And so that's one way, first right off, to think, am I getting, anything to Ableton? That's the raw MIDI data hitting Ableton. So if you don't see that, back up, get something like a MIDI monitor. Let me grab my mouse over here. Ew. And I'll show you what a MIDI monitor looks like. This one's called MIDI monitor. It's free. I'm going to expand the filter, what it filters from what I see, and clear active synths, clear the display. So we have sync coming out, right? Because I have, sync so that we can go and trigger drums and whatnot. That was a whole lot more than drums, wasn't it? Let's go to that one. Nice. But you can see everything that's happening on my system with MIDI is coming through this window. So let's clear that, make it easy. Here it comes Keylab. Note on off, right? So these utilities are usually free. So if you're having trouble and it doesn't even look like your stuff is making it to Ableton, go check with something like that. It's probably not the problem though. It's most likely more something in here like routing. So where do we start? We go to Live's Preferences, Settings, whatever you want to call them. Go to the Link, Tempo, and MIDI tab. And on there, you're going to see two things. You're going to see control surface routing, and you're going to see input and output ports, and a couple of check boxes, right? You are interested in track, sync and remote. We're going to cover all of those. Track is usually that's the one that gives you your keys. That do things, Sync is going to be for, I don't even use sync in any of these, I don't think. Well, yeah, I do. I do it for when we sync the drum machine, the TR7, 707, which we'll get to. And then remote, you want to have that checked on devices that use like transport controls, like the one in front of me. So if we were to, you can see a lot of this stuff has remote checked, like the Keylab. And that's how the transport controls work though. You want to also though, if it's a control surface, look up here, add it to the control surface. You can see my first four are Ravens, but then we have the push and the Keylab in there as control surfaces because we want, Ableton to know that, hey, I'm going to be doing like play and stop and record from this thing, bro. So that's one place you can go. When you are, you scroll this window, you should see your device in here. And if you don't see it in there, like I said, that's a bigger problem. But you can see these are all, checked for whatever they might be doing. Port number 5 here, as you can see, is checked for sync, which is my TR707. And as long as that little checkbox is checked for the right port going to the 707, every time I hit play, it's gonna start going. And given that the 707 is ready to receive said clock, everything has to be set right and talking, But that basically is what we're going to look at and do in settings in this window. And so we can get rid of that. So the first level, you could say, of things, we might go through like 3 levels probably worth of complication. The most simple, we're just going to add our keyboard here and put a software instrument, right? So that would be this track here. We have an ARP 2600 from Arturia. Looks like this. Now, isn't it fun that we have a real 2600 back here that we'll hear next? Oh yeah, you already heard it. But so there's our instrument and we're already hearing it. So like we're good to go, yay. But what if you weren't? How did we make this channel know? Well, that's this little area right here. So the first thing is MIDI from You go, okay, cool. That just, where's the MIDI coming from? It's the keyboard that you just plugged in, right? So you'll hit that, you'll see it in a list, you'll select it, give it a channel. Now everything should be set to 1, or all. And, if you're having problems, it's something to check. Trying to see what channel your thing is using. Get it set to 1 or get it set to whatever so that you can match it over here. Because again, all these things have to be talking, correctly. And then the channel that they're talking on is part of it. So in any event, this one's coming, as you can see, all channels, which is fine. It doesn't need to be coming on anything in particular. And that's a software instrument. That's the entirety of the setup. You send your audio from it somewhere, maybe the main out there, or like I did, to a keys group. And there you go. That's all there is to it. That's the software instrument. You should be set up, making music, and loving life with that by now. So let's move along. Now, the next level of kind of complication is, say you have a hardware synth in a rack, like in this rack, these ones here. So here we have an M1. Boom. Now it's going to look exactly like the other MIDI track, kind of. Just one different thing at the bottom here. Because what you're actually doing is getting some MIDI in from a thing like this key lab in front of me, or like a track, a loop in the thing. But you're going to get your stuff from your data, MIDI data from the keyboard, and then send it to something. So in our case, we're sending it out the MIDI timepiece. Let's give you a better view there. And so we're going out port 3. Yay! And so port 3 is connected to the M1 in the rack right there. Easy peasy, that's good to go. And then all we need is an audio channel to receive the audio from the M1, and then boom, we're ready to go. That's coming in on 19 and 20. The monitor section is set to in, so this is always on. That's what in means. Auto, that relies on if the channel is selected like that, and it's record armed, and mine are automatically record armed because of the options file hack, trick, whatever you want to call it, where you go to the options file. You can Google it. It's easy to find. But you go to the options file and set this option called like record on select, I think. So then when you select your channel, record stays armed. Yay. Now we're on the M1. The audio comes back out of there. Boom. End of story. Same thing for the Triton. It goes out on a different channel, port 5. Its audio comes back on 13, 14, but the rest exactly the same. DX7. And that is the physical DX7 behind me from 1984. And that thing is, again, exactly the same. It's going out, I think, on 8 out of the timepiece, if I can tap correctly. Yeah, port 8. Out it goes there, and it comes here, and that's all there is to it. Super cool. And then we have the 2600, which is slightly different because it takes, as you can see, look at this like little clip. There's all these cables. A lot of those patch cables are coming from the mult. And the mult is this cool thing where I run from my key lab. Well, it picks it up from the MIDI timepiece, actually. So out of the MIDI timepiece, we're specifying right through Ableton here, use port 6. Yeah, port 6, that's plugged into a MIDI to CV converter. And what that does is it changes the MIDI into control voltage, and it sends that over little audio cables over to the 2600. And that stuff is all plugged in. So as long as I do, arm that track like that, we are good to go. We're playing. We can now put arpeggiators and stuff on this and run, like fun, cool stuff through our old synth. And control the filter right through the mod wheel. Kicking stuff over. So like this mod wheel. Running the filter on the 2600 behind me. And this is the magic of MIDI. This is why you want to know how to use your MIDI controllers and set some stuff up, right? So in addition, let's move on as this is kicking here. We'll go to like the next level of the game would be the the multi-synth hardware. So like, all 4 of these synths in this rack. Synths is a hard thing to say in a sentence, right? But all 4 of these machines over here will let you put them into a mode where they can run like 16 or 32 instruments at once. So like, that's like 16 copies of itself, 16 patches from in itself. So I have for 2 of these, the Yamaha and the Roland, I have them set up over here with each with 2 tracks, right, that you can see. So, and they work the same way exactly as the previous ones. The only difference is that you can see with the MIDI channels, the first one goes to 1 like all the other ones did, but then the second one goes to 2, right? And if you keep on going, it'll be 3, 4, 5, etc., up to 16. And automatically the unit is gonna, when you set what sound is on 1, what sound is on 2, 3, 4, etc., it's all gonna match up, and boom, you've got like multi-scene coming out of that little synth. So let's talk about, and again, MIDI controllers. Like I said, I roll this mod wheel when this track is running. And we're already starting to have some fun. Now, let's over here on SC, I'll start this loop here, which has an arpeggiator on it, just like this one. But I also have a control on the arpeggiator mapped to a hardware control over here, this knob right here on the LPDA, right? So watch what'll happen when we do this. If you hold on Apple, it's Command and M, you get the MIDI Learn overlay. I don't know what it is on Windows, but it's something with an M. And so everything turns blue, and every one of those blue things is a thing that you can learn. So if we look down here, there's like a number 1/83 over that control. So that means I learned it. And how did I learn it? I just clicked it and I turn the knob, and that's all you do. And the number shows up and you go, cool. Command M, turn it back off. And now watch that little control. I'm gonna turn the knob. Oh, let me select the right channel and use the right knob. So I wasn't using the right knob. So you can see that little knob controls that. Cool. So let's start this playing. That knob is gate. I'm gonna slowly open that gate up. Now, pull that all the way back out, and I have 2 controls that I can play with. all you got to do is reach over and pop a new drum loop, you know, and that's good to go. And so how easy is that? Like, that's not too hard at all. Let's pull some of the volume of that down. Make that gate a little longer so it's a little more pleasant to listen to. And so that leaves us really at, I guess the last thing to talk about is syncing the drum machine. And I kind of already showed it to you. So if you have a drum machine, you want to get it set up to receive MIDI clock, is what it's called. MIDI clock is accessed in the settings and they call it sync. So basically you just find your whatever MIDI port is sending to your thing, or it'll be named your thing, your drum machine, because it's like plugged in via USB. But you find your drum machine in your list here, and I'm not scrolling apparently, but mine's right here, port 5, and that little mouse is in the way. You can see the check there, and that's all you got to do. Once you do that, once your thing is set, when you press stop, it stops. When you press play, it plays. Like, end of story. Super easy peasy fun. Like everything, right? So I guess that is pretty much kind of run stuff. I'm thinking, what else do I do with MIDI stuff? Definitely check out this other video that I did. I'll put a link to it on the end screen. It's a super cool, it's in depth. It goes a lot deeper into using like the multi-instruments in Logic, choosing patches within Logic. It's cool. Check it out. But that's it, man. If you have any questions, drop a comment. I work with people one-on-one through Discord, Zoom, everywhere, all the time. So holla at me. If you need help, we'll get you worked out. Cheers.